The Section High Alpha. This video covers the Section High Alpha from the number 5 lead solo perspective. The solos are in the spotlight again on this maneuver, and you'll be flying low and slow, providing a stellar photo op for the crowd. That also means they'll notice anything that isn't quite right, so you've got to fly this to perfection. As number 5, it's your job to fly the perfect companion image to number 6, but also serve as the safety officer to ensure there is not a crowd violation. This maneuver pushes the F-18 Sea Hornet to the edge of its performance envelope, and is one of the most impressive maneuvers in the show. Briefing. The maneuver starts similar to the inverted tug-over roll, with both jets pointed behind crowd. While for this maneuver number 5 will be behind number 6 and off of 6's right wing, the theory is the same. Both jets turn to the crowd right heading and hold 380 knots at around 1,000 feet AGL behind the crowd until number 5 joins on number 6's right wing. At 3.2 nautical miles, the section pulls power back to idle and begins an easy left-hand 180-degree turn to the show line, rolling out between 3 and 4 nautical miles from center point. On the rollout, number 5 will come abreast of number 6, and the formation continues to bleed speed with the air brakes down to under 200 knots. Air brakes are then retracted, and the formation continues to decelerate to 140 knots. At 140 knots, number 6 calls, pull into the set, and pulls the aircraft to between 20 to 25 degrees nose high, bringing on power to stabilize the aircraft's descent, standing the jet on its tail. At 1 nautical mile, number 6 will call for smoke on. Both aircraft maintain this high angle of attack flight regime all the way across center point. At 0.3 nautical miles beyond center point, number 5 will call knock it off. Both pilots select full afterburner, with 5 leveling the nose of his aircraft and 6 pulling to 60 degrees nose high, before rolling inverted nose level. Number 5 then clears behind the crowd, with number 6 establishing visual contact, rolling out and dropping in to rejoin number 5 behind the crowd. This maneuver takes you right to the edge of the flight envelope, but it's also one of the most impressive and really showcases what the Hornet is best at: high angle of attack flight. Stick like glue to number 6's wing, and you'll blow the crowd away. Let's get into the details. Walk through. Welcome back to the cockpit of the F-18C Hornet. We've just cleared from the inverted tuckover roll, and we have rolled out behind the crowd right, and crossing behind show center to line up for the section high alpha pass. Now, you're probably looking at the screen and thinking, this is a new view, Chariot. Well, you're right. That's because this entire maneuver, even though it is extremely challenging and complex, really just boils down to flying formation. And we really haven't done much of that in the show so far, except for the inverted tugover roll. But we're going to get a lot more practice in this particular maneuver. So, if you want a short summary of where we're supposed to line up to keep good formation, you can go look at the inverted tugover roll video. But realistically, I'm just going to talk you through the entire overview of this maneuver right here, right now, because there's going to be a couple points where I'm going to pause, but realistically, we're just going to let this thing play out so that you can watch what I do. But to walk you through the overview of what we're going to do, we're going to form up on Brother Leb. He's going to roll us back towards the show box, decreasing speed as he does so. We just need to make sure to maintain our placing on the outside of him, and I'll talk through a couple of the nuances of doing that as we get there. As he approaches show line, he will roll out, at which point we will go line abreast of him. We will approach stall speed, and at 140 knots, we will pull to the set, which means we are pulling to 20 to 25 degrees nose high, at which point we'll put in quite a bit of power to stand the F-18 on its thrusters and perform the section high alpha pass. At which point we are flying line abreast with Brother Leb, standing the jet on its engines, and once we hit 1 mile, smoke will go on for both of us, and then you're just trying to maintain that position from Brother Leb. We'll talk about the clear when we get there, but it's basically fly formation with number 6, fly line abreast of number 6, and continue to fly line abreast of number 6 as we transition to the high alpha. So let's see how we do here. Slamming on the brakes as we approach Brother Leb. We're a little bit back, so we're going to scooch our way forward here. Looking to put that Hornet sliced off by the wing here, and looking to put the underline of Hornet on that little flap there, so doing a pretty good job. A little low. Coming up, so we've told Brother Leb he has 2, and we are now the number 2 in this position. So here we go, approaching away from crowd, coming left, easing power to idle, he says, which means he is slowly easing his power back to idle. Looks like we're getting a little ahead, so easing more power, and then he's going to say, comes the pull. So now pulling around the corner, and now it's important to note right about at this point here, as we start slowing down, below 350 knots, at this bank angle, even with the amount of pull that matches Brother Leb, we're going to be starting to slide in towards number 6, so some right rudder is going to be necessary to maintain our position above number 6 as we come around this corner, and this will only increase as the speed decreases. Now, because number 6 is going to be power idle, the only way that we can decrease our relative speed to number 6 is by using the air brake. So, make sure to have the air brake bound on your HOTAS and get ready to use it liberally in this maneuver, because we use it quite a few times and we're going to be using it a lot more than Brother Leb. So let's continue watching how we do around the corner. Putting in some right rudder, putting in a little bit of power, so we're a little behind. But not too much power. Keep it easy, smooth corrections. There we see the Hornet getting revealed. It's underlined, a little ahead, a little bit falling out, but that's fine. Ease it back in, a little more power. Now we're getting a little ahead. Ease that power off. Looking pretty good around the corner. At which point we're easing the pull and rolling out. Now it's time to go line abreast. Chariot's call to stand by the boards, which means we have put our brakes in. We are full brakes while we are boards out. And we're going to be boards out until 200 knots. We're looking to fly line abreast with Brother Leb, so we're staring at his canopy. We're trying to be shoulder to shoulder with Brother Leb at this point. We're a little low. He's going to stay stand by the boards. Boards. The boards are coming back in. We're a little bit behind, so we're going to ease ourselves forward with a little touch of power. He's calling a little bit of pull occasionally to keep the nose up. Make sure we're not dropping our vertical velocity indicator here. And now he's going to start calling speeds right about now. We've got ahead, so brakes are in. 160. 150. A little bit of pull. 145. 140. Pull into the set. Now, why did I pause it there? Because pull into the set is a complicated thing. When you are line abreast with somebody and you're pulling to the set, you're going to tend, if you're a right-handed pilot, to pull the stick towards your left leg as you are pulling to the set, or towards yourself if you fly side stick. You're going to want to try and prevent that, and a lot of times that means mentally thinking about having some right tension in the stick while you fly this maneuver. Because if you think just pure neutral, your brain is going to be telling your body to pull the stick towards where you are looking. This is natural. It's called target fixation, and it happens when people are driving too. It's how they get into accidents that they had time to avoid. You have to take a little bit of mental energy and keep that stick pushing away from Brother Leb. Not a lot, but just enough to maintain your line abreast profile. So, when he calls pulling to the set, we're going to gently start easing the stick back and adding a touch of power, trying to maintain ourselves in this line abreast position with Brother Leb. So, let's see how we do. So, pull into the set. Setting it. Adding power. There we see he's getting ahead, so we add a bunch of power. Alright, so what do you do to make adjustments to your positioning when you are in the high alpha? This is where things get complicated. So Brother Leb is getting ahead of us here. So in order to move forward along the horizontal line without increasing our altitude, we need to add power, but also add forward stick. And then as we ease our power, we reduce that forward stick. Similarly, if we want to go backwards, we ease power and add aft stick. And then to ease that out, we add the power back in and add forward stick. If we want to adjust ourselves closer to Brother Leb, ideally we would do so with the rudder, but the rudder can have some pretty complicated effects when we're standing on the engines. Some Blue Angels pilots use the split throttles to accomplish this by adding up the throttle that achieves the positioning that they're looking for. Other times you could do just a slight touch of adjustment with the wings and then immediately back the other direction, because standing on the engines, the jet's going to want to fall over in the direction that you are heading. So it's important that we try and keep the wings as level as possible to make sure that we have the most lift as possible and we don't deviate into Brother Leb's path. That being said, if you want to go up, simply add power. If you want to go down, simply reduce power. But remember, adding power and reducing power is going to adjust your horizontal spacing compared to Brother Leb. So you are going to have to adjust with the stick accordingly as well. So we're getting a little behind, so we're going to add power and add forward stick. Here we go. Power, forward stick. There you can see my nose dipping a little bit. Easing power, you can see the nose backing up. Doing pretty good line abreast. He's getting a little ahead and a little high, so we're going to add some power. Adding more power and not much forward stick. There we go. Lined up pretty good. And now we're stable. We're nice and stable, so as he adjusts, we adjust. So that's a back in power. So we back our power down. We're getting a little close, so we're going to do a little bit of right wing down. Now left wing down, and now we're back online. He's getting a little behind, and that's fine. All right, at 0.3 miles, we have a job to do. This is one of the reasons why I fly HMD, is because unlike in the real jet where we have peripheral vision and we can be glancing at our MFDs and see how far away we are from center point, we don't have peripheral vision even in VR. In VR it's way easier than in TrackR to glance at your MFDs, but it's very dangerous to do so when flying line abreast. But it's our responsibility as 5 to call the clear for this maneuver, and that clear is is at 0.3 miles. At 0.3 miles, plus or minus a tenth of a mile from center point, depending on the tightness of the formation and the conditions and the timing of the show, at 0.3 miles, we're going to call knock it off. At which point, Brother Leb is going to put in full burners and pull to 60 degrees, and we are going to put in full burners and look forward, and we're going to push our nose over fairly quickly, not full deflection, but fairly quickly, to put our imaginary water line here, lining up with the horizon. Now that's going to feel a little scary, and the jet's going to yell at you about not being fast enough. But with the burners and the amount of lift that the F-18 has, with the water line sitting on the horizon at 500 to 250, 200 feet, the aircraft's going to be just fine and going to be able to power straight out of that to level flight. So here we go. Zoom in a little bit more, and let's see how we do. So we've called knock it off, and we're pushing the nose over, and full burners. There we go. As you can see, pushing that nose forward, and the jet's slowly recovering. We let the jet recover. Brother Leb calls that he's 60 degrees and coming left, and we come left. Now at this point, we are trying to get ourselves on a left turn, speeding up fairly consistently so that Brother Leb can catch us as he comes down the hill from about 2,500 feet. And he's rolled over inverted, and he's coming down the hill to catch us, and we're trying to line up so that we are behind the crowd, 2 miles behind crowd, at show center, rolled out. That's the goal. It's hard to accomplish. I rarely get it right, but that's the goal. 2 miles behind the crowd at show center at about 350 to 380 knots. So let's see how we do. Ease in the pull, 290. 300. 315. Ease in the pull, easing more power. 330. We're giving these calls to Brother Leb. 340. Ease in more pull and more power. 350, holding 350. As you can see, we're doing pretty good here. 352. Ease in more pull, rolling out some bank. 350. Looking for that crowd right heading of 244. Ease the pull and rolling out. 355. Now we're letting the speed creep up, coming a little right. And as you can see, that number started to increase again, which means that we are past center point. And there is center point. There's our smoke. We're past center point. We're a little bit far out. We're a little further out. And usually I do this a little tight, but this time I went a little bit far out. We're at 2.3. Or we are at 2.2 behind crowd, so did not come around the corner quick enough. But now we are coming a little right to get back to the crowd right heading, and we're letting our speed increase up to 380. Brother Leb, about at this point, is going to call that he's in, based upon the timings that we've had in the past, but he can also give us a you'll have to chariot, or you'll have to number 5 call sign, which lets me know he's not quite in yet, but I can continue to proceed with the maneuver on the timing that we expect. So at this point, we're going to be rolling out behind the crowd and setting up for the section breakout, the final of these solo maneuvers. And now it's time for a demonstration from that same Kobaletti show we've been using from a couple of months ago. Keep your eyes on the minute corrections that are made in order to keep myself line abreast with Brother Leb as we head into the set.
Solos are behind the crowd, setting up this section high alpha.
Try it.
Easing power, and we're coming left. Easing more power to idle. A little further left. Comes the pull. A little more left. A little more pull. Stand by the boards. We're easing the pull and rolling out. Set. Keeping that nose low attitude. Stand by the boards. Boards 3 miles. A little pull to level. Easing more power. Easing even more power. Power set. 185. 180. A little more pull. 175. 170. 65. 160. 155. 150, a little more pull. 145. There's 140 pull into the set. And setting it. Adding power. We're flying it. Smoke on. Easing a little power.
Center point. Knock it off.
Left. Pull into 60. 60, coming left.
Chariot's breaking left. 380. Sorry, 280. 300. 310. Ease in the pull. 320. Ease in more pull.
Contact.
330. Ease in power. 335. 340. Ease in more pull. 345. 350. Easing power. Easing the pull and rolling out. Coming in a little right.
You got two
Easing
chariot.
a little power. 360 chariot. State 50.
State is 5-3.
Rolling out.
And that's how the Legacy Blue Solos performed the Section High Alpha. If you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel, where you can find full side-by-side show sequences and debriefs. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the flight line.